Hey, how's it going everyone? It is Drake. We're back with another fairy tale video, and with it being Spooktober once again, I wanted to make a Halloween themed video. For last Spooktober, we did who would be the best at surviving a horror movie. So for this video, I'm going to be doing fairy tale versus different monsters, and I'm going to be taking a monster and trying to figure out who within the series would be best to take on that specific monster. So most of these are pretty classic monsters, but there was a few that I kind of chucked in that I just personally wanted to chuck in because I thought it'd be fun. So the first one I have is zombies, which their weakness is their brain in most interpretations. Now, who do I think could counter zombies in particular? I think Alzak and Biska, or particularly any gun magic user, could be very effective at taking out zombies because they could literally just shoot off the heads. Honestly, I think my favorite pick for this though is Gajiel. Since his skin is made of iron, if you're just talking about regular zombies here, like I don't think any zombie would be able to bite through his skin, so he wouldn't really have any chance of being infected that way. And literally, since he can turn his arm into a giant blade, he could just chop off zombie heads left and right. So I think Gajiel is honestly a really good pick for zombies. The next being werewolves. So their weaknesses are silver. Apparently they can't regenerate limbs, and if you kill their human form, that would kill them too. And apparently enough damage can kill them. Counters for a werewolf. I think Rufus would be actually pretty good here, because if you use his memory make magic, he could probably create silver of some kind to damage a werewolf. Pretty much any fire magic user, from Natsu to Flare to Zancro, could just light up the werewolf's fur and damage him that way. Personally, my favorite pick is Hades or Precht. Since most of the time when he's just using magic, he has these chains, and I think those chains would be amazing to hold down a werewolf to be able to take them out. And especially the way that Hades uses them in a pretty violent way, I think it actually would be pretty darn effective as to taking them out. The next being a vampire. So their weaknesses include sunlight, garlic, stakes, their heart, and religious items. As to who I think could counter them, I think Sting would be really good against a werewolf, especially since his Dragon Slayer magic probably would act as sunlight, and it most likely would have some kind of purifying effect as well. I think same goes for Loki, because his Regulus magic also is light based, and it also did have a purifying aspect to it as well. Personally, I think Sting is a bit better for the job. Now going on to some other picks for this, I think Loki, because she has wood make magic, so she could literally make a wooden stake to take him out. And finally, is just kind of a fun pick, Freed. In a lot of vampire media, they show vampires having to follow certain rules, like they can't just straight up roll into your house, they have to be invited in. And since they have to follow certain rules, I thought well, what if Freed makes enchantments to where they have to follow even more rules? And obviously he carries a sword that you could use as a stake to stab them in their heart. And obviously he has that dark demon form as well that he could turn into to be able to take a vampire out. Now, this is one of the fun ones that I decided to chuck in for myself. Not really so much that it's a classic monster, but I just thought it'd be fun. That being Slappy, who's basically a haunted ventriloquist dummy. Apparently his only weaknesses are termites and saying the spell that brought him to life. I think there's a pretty darn good counter against Slappy, and that is Ultir. Since he's not a living object per se, I would say Arc of Time should work on him to theoretically destroy his body. Also going along with Grimoire Heart, you have Azuma, who has control of wood. Not exactly controlling it, but he uses it to damage people. The one that has more control over it though would be Warren, and I think both could potentially do some damage to Slappy, but personally my favorite is Ultir because I feel like Arc of Time would literally just insta-kill him. The next monster being a swamp monster. I basically took the creature from the Black Lagoon. I didn't know what its actual name was, so I just called it Swamp Monster. And his weaknesses are fire and acid. So counters for a swamp monster, I'm going to say pretty much all fire users once again. That includes Natsu, etc. Kind of the fun, interesting one is you have a person that's part of the Hungry Wolf Knights and he uses acid magic, and that person is Neppa. Going on to mummies. Apparently their weaknesses are fire and cats. So countering a mummy, once again, pretty much every fire user in the series, Natsu, etc. And I feel like he would be even more susceptible to fire because he's literally a dried out body. And very interesting on the cat weakness because we actually have someone that fits that bill perfectly, and that is Miliana. And obviously Miliana's whole thing is cats, because apparently they won't harm anything cat related, so Miliana pretty much has free reign to attack. And finally, we have the Mothman. So the Mothman's weaknesses are lights, explosives, guns, and excessive force. And counters for the Mothman. My number one choice is Jalal. And I suppose here again you could pick Sting or Loki because of the whole light aspect of weakness here. But I think Jalal would be pretty darn good because this is a creature that can fly and stuff, and obviously Jalal can fly around no problemo. His Grand Chariot also causes explosions, and he is mostly light based. Jalal would be a really good choice at taking down a Mothman. I think he'd be able to hunt him down no problemo. Some additional picks I have are Jackal, since he causes explosions, and obviously those explosions also do emit light, along with Alzak and Bisco, or pretty much any gun magic user, since they could just shoot him. So who are your guys' picks as to who you think could take down each one of these monsters? Leave it in the comments below, or any other fun little matchups you have. I hope you have a happy Spooktober. Thank you for watching, and this is Drago signing out.